Tomorrow, 115 cardinals will convene for the sacred and confidential process of selecting the next pope. Among them stands Cardinal Luis Antonio Tagle, a prominent and beloved figure whose close relationship with Pope Francis has sparked both admiration and intrigue across the Catholic world. Known for his humility, compassion, and reformist vision, Cardinal Tagle embodies many of the values Pope Francis has championed throughout his papacy, and their partnership suggests a shared aspiration to redefine the Church's role in a rapidly changing world. Pope Francis' decision to embrace and elevate Cardinal Tagle's influence has not gone unnoticed. Often referred to as Asia's Francis due to his commitment to the poor and marginalized, Tagle has risen as a figure capable of bridging traditional faith with the demands of modern society. This partnership culminated in 2019 when Pope Francis appointed him as the prefect of the Congregation for the Evangelization of Peoples, colloquially known as the Red Pope. This prestigious role grants oversight of missionary activities worldwide, particularly in regions like Asia, Africa, and Latin America, where the Catholic Church's future will likely be decided. Through this role, Tagle has been instrumental in rethinking the Church's evangelization strategies in non-Western countries, advocating for a culturally sensitive and inclusive approach. Tagle's life journey is deeply rooted in his native Philippines, where he rose from humble beginnings to become a transformative leader in the Catholic Church. Born in 1957, he devoted himself early to theology, combining extraordinary intellect with a profound dedication to serving the poor. As the Archbishop of Manila from 2011, he captured the hearts of Filipinos through his empathetic leadership, responding decisively and compassionately to crises like Typhoon Haiyan in 2013. His sermons, touching on themes of justice and mercy, resonated deeply with millions and reinforced his reputation as a Church of Mercy advocate. Under Pope Francis' leadership, the Church has pivoted to prioritize marginalized communities, encapsulating its mission as a church for the poor. Tagle's work as the president of Caritas Internationalis, a global Catholic charity network, has exemplified this vision. He spearheaded campaigns addressing hunger, poverty, and climate change, championing values of justice, compassion, and action. His emphasis on listening and dialogue reflects a pastoral approach that diverges from the hierarchical and doctrinal rigidity often criticized within the Church. This perspective, coupled with his diplomatic ability to navigate cultural and ideological differences, positions him as a key reformist figure capable of advancing Pope Francis' mission on the world stage. The collaboration between Pope Francis and Cardinal Tagle goes beyond professional alignment. It is rooted in shared principles of humility and service. Their leadership challenges traditionalist notions that prioritize doctrine over compassion and seek to transform the Church into a sanctuary for the outcasts. Both leaders advocate for a model that emphasizes kindness over polarization and meaningful action over mere rhetoric, underscoring the transformative power of faith when focused on the peripheries of society. However, such a shift has not been without controversy. Critics accuse Pope Francis and his allies, including Tagle, of derailing traditional Catholic values in favor of social and political correctness. They argue that placing social justice at the center of the Church's mission risks sidelining its core doctrines. Despite this resistance, Pope Francis and Cardinal Tagle remain unwavering, emphasizing that outreach to the world forgotten and forsaken is a non-negotiable calling of the Church. As speculation swirls about Tagle's potential as a future pope, questions arise about what such leadership could mean for the Catholic Church. Could the vision shared by Pope Francis and Tagle redefine Catholicism in the 21st century, making it more inclusive and globally relevant? From his early days in Manila to his influential role in the Vatican, Tagle's life story is a testament to the power of purposeful leadership. Together with Pope Francis, he envisions a church that not only speaks but acts, a church that listens, heals, and serves. Whether through groundbreaking reforms or compassionate evangelization, Cardinal Tagle represents the possibility of a future where the Catholic Church becomes a beacon of hope, justice, and love for all. The Catholic Church stands at a historic crossroads, confronting both global challenges and internal complexities that could redefine its mission and relevance in the modern world. Cardinal Luis Antonio Tagle has emerged as a central figure in this transformative era, championing Pope Francis' vision of a more compassionate, inclusive, and action-oriented Catholicism. Their partnership signifies an ongoing reform that seeks to modernize the Church while remaining anchored in its spiritual roots. This dynamic evolution is crucial as the Church grapples with its role in addressing pressing issues such as humanitarian crises, climate change, interfaith relations, and a shifting global demographic. One of the key aspects of this transformation is Cardinal Tagle's role as a bridge builder. His commitment to fostering interfaith dialogue and building positive relationships in a polarized world aligns with Pope Francis' broader vision of unity and tolerance. By engaging with people of various faiths and backgrounds, Tagle demonstrates the potential of the Catholic Church to serve as a unifying force amidst growing cultural and ideological divisions. These efforts embody the Church's renewed focus on the margins, bringing its mission into direct contact with those often overlooked, marginalized, or suffering. This modern approach to Catholicism is not just about outreach, but also about evolving the Church's identity to meet the challenges of the 21st century. However, this transformative mission comes with its share of internal challenges. A silent but powerful tug-of-war unfolds behind the scenes, as reformist leaders like Pope Francis and Cardinal Tagle push for change, while facing resistance from conservative factions. The Vatican, long seen as the epicenter of tradition, is now at the heart of an ideological struggle between those advocating for progressive reforms and those defending traditional doctrines. This tension is expressed not only in theological debates, but also in practical matters, such as financial transparency, decentralized governance, and social justice initiatives. Pope Francis' papacy has introduced bold reforms, challenging clericalism and calling for a church that is more responsive to societal needs. Climate change, migration, and economic inequality have become focal points of his leadership. Yet, these efforts have met formidable resistance from ultra-conservative groups who view such shifts as a departure from the Church's historical teachings. Cardinal Tagle's ascent and influence within this context highlight both the promise of reform and the challenges of implementing it. His management style, which emphasizes dialogue, collaboration, and inclusivity, contrasts sharply with the hierarchical and rigid structures of the past, making him a polarizing figure among traditionalists and a beacon of hope for progressives. Tagle's unique ability to connect with people, regardless of their backgrounds, underscores his leadership style. Whether preaching to large crowds in Manila or representing the Church on the international stage, Tagle embodies humility, empathy, and approachability. His pastoral approach resonates with those seeking a shepherd's leadership, one rooted in compassion and understanding rather than institutional authority. This leadership style, combined with his deep theological knowledge and cultural sensitivity, has made him a vital figure in reshaping modern Catholicism. The demographic shift within the Catholic Church further amplifies the importance of leaders like Tagle. While the influence of the Church declines in Europe and North America, the faith is flourishing in Asia and Africa, presenting both opportunities and challenges. These regions represent the future of Catholicism, with diverse and growing congregations that require nuanced and culturally aware leadership. As a non-Westerner, Tagle is uniquely positioned to navigate this shift, understanding the complexities of serving a heterogeneous and globally dispersed flock. His ability to balance traditional Catholic teachings with the demands of modern society makes him a pivotal figure in the Church's quest for relevance. Beyond his leadership within the Vatican, Tagle's active involvement in humanitarian work further illustrates his commitment to social justice. His tenure as president of Caritas Internationalis, a global Catholic charity organization, has been marked by significant efforts to combat poverty, hunger, and climate change. These initiatives reflect his alignment with Pope Francis' emphasis on a church for the poor. By addressing societal injustices and advocating for the marginalized, Tagle exemplifies the Church's potential to serve as a force for good in an increasingly divided world. Yet, These progressive stances have also drawn criticism from those who believe such activism risks diluting the Church's doctrinal foundations. Speculation about Cardinal Tagle's future role in the Vatican adds another layer of complexity to these dynamics. While Pope Francis has not named a successor, Tagle's rising visibility and alignment with the pontiff's vision make him a potential candidate for future papacy. His appointment as prefect of the Congregation for the Evangelization of Peoples, commonly referred to as the Red Pope, has positioned him as a key figure in the Church's mission to spread the gospel worldwide. This role not only underscores his growing influence, but also highlights the strategic importance of expanding Catholic evangelization in regions such as Asia, Africa, and Latin America. As Tagle's influence grows, so too does speculation about the Church's trajectory. Will the reforms initiated by Pope Francis and supported by Tagle continue to shape Catholicism, or will the pushback from conservative factions reassert traditional doctrines? The answers to these questions will determine not only the Church's internal dynamics, but also its capacity to address the complexities of a rapidly changing world. Cardinal Tagle's leadership offers a vision of a Church that is compassionate, adaptive, and engaged with the needs of the modern era. A Church that seeks to unify rather than divide, to uplift rather than condemn. In this transformative era, the Catholic Church is navigating uncharted waters, balancing its rich traditions with the need for renewal. Through leaders like Pope Francis and Cardinal Tagle, a new model of Catholicism is emerging, one that prioritizes compassion, inclusivity, and action. This journey, while fraught with challenges, represents a bold attempt to redefine the Church's role in a world yearning for hope, justice, and unity. Whether preaching on the streets of Manila or influencing policies in the Vatican, Cardinal Tagle stands as a testament to the power of leadership rooted in humility, resilience, and an unwavering commitment to serving humanity. Cardinal Luis Antonio Tagle has firmly aligned himself with some of the most pressing and divisive issues facing the world today, including interfaith dialogue and climate change. In championing these causes, particularly at events like the Paris Conference on Climate Change, he emphasized fairness and equity, highlighting his dedication to addressing global injustices through the lens of Catholic social teaching. His advocacy for social justice showcases a leader willing to engage with contemporary realities. However, this approach has not been without criticism. Conservatives within the Church argue that such stances veer away from core doctrinal matters, underscoring the deep-seated ideological tensions within Catholic authority during this transformative period. Tagle's efforts raise critical questions about how the Catholic Church should evolve in response to a changing world while maintaining its core spiritual mission. These tensions present a delicate balancing act between the expectations of a polarized congregation, some yearning for traditionalism, others for reform, and the structural challenges of an institution steeped in centuries-old conventions. Ultimately, how Tagle navigates these competing demands will significantly define his legacy, presenting him as either a pioneer of progressive reform or a polarizing figure in an ongoing internal struggle. Leadership within the Catholic Church is a pressing matter, especially in an era marked by unprecedented societal and technological change. The groundwork laid by Pope Francis has set the stage for further reforms, including decentralizing church authority, promoting social justice, and confronting global challenges like migration and environmental degradation. These initiatives, however, are fragile, requiring leaders who can sustain and advance them while remaining faithful to the Church's spiritual mission. Cardinal Tagle's close alignment with Francis' vision and his influence within the Vatican place him as a potential candidate to lead this charge. However, this also begs the question of whether a progressive vision like Tagle's can unite and resonate across the Church's diverse and often divided global following. Tagle's pastoral, reformist approach emphasizes inclusivity, compassion, and direct engagement with people on the margins of society. His willingness to tackle issues such as human rights, immigrant welfare, and cultural sensitivity has made him a symbol of hope for progressive Catholics. Nevertheless, his rise has met resistance from those in the Church who view his orientation as straying from tradition. These ideological battles underscore the complex environment in which Tagle operates, one characterized by conventions and requirements that often stand in direct contrast to the need for reform. On the other hand, Cardinal Pietro Parolin, widely seen as a prominent rival for the papal throne, represents a starkly different approach. As the Vatican's Secretary of State, Parolin has built a reputation as a conservative and diplomatic force. His career in diplomacy and extensive experience in Vatican administration position him as a master of the Church's internal hierarchy and geopolitical strategy. Parolin's steady and pragmatic approach has earned him admiration among traditionalists who prioritize continuity over innovation, particularly during times of societal upheaval. Critics of Parolin, however, argue that while his ability to navigate church politics is formidable, his approach may lack the creative vision necessary to address the profound and complex challenges of the modern world. The rivalry between Tagle and Parolin encapsulates the larger ideological struggles within the Catholic Church today. Tagle's approach symbolizes a forward-looking leadership style marked by compassion, inclusion, and adaptation to modern challenges. Parolin's candidacy, by contrast, reflects a more traditionalist outlook, prioritizing stability, diplomatic savvy, and adherence to established norms. This divergence raises fundamental questions about the Church's trajectory. Will it embrace a more progressive and inclusive future, or will it retreat to familiar traditions and hierarchies? The historical dominance of European, and particularly Italian, clergy within the papacy further complicates this decision. While the election of Pope Francis in Argentine broke with this tradition, Parolin's candidacy signals the possibility of a return to long-standing norms. This tension highlights the unresolved question of how the Church balances continuity with its tradition against the need to broaden its perspectives and adapt to a changing world. Speculation about Pope Francis' successor is heating up, bringing the rivalry between Tagle and Parolin into sharper focus. Their differing visions for the future reflect the broader debates within the Church and society about leadership, reform, and tradition. Tagle's proximity to the faithful, focus on social justice, and non-Western background make him a potential symbol of a more inclusive and globally aware Church. Meanwhile, Parolin's experience, conservative ethos, and command of Vatican geopolitics represent a potential return to traditional authority and hierarchical stability. The outcome of this competition will shape the Catholic Church's direction for decades. Whether the Church opts for reformist inclusivity or traditional continuity will determine its ability to navigate an increasingly polarized and complex world. What is your opinion on the future of the Catholic Church and the potential roles of Tagle and Parolin? Do you believe Tagle's compassionate, people-focused leadership aligns with the Church's needs, or will Parolin's steady hand and diplomacy carry the day? Share your thoughts with us in the comments. And remember to like, share, and subscribe for more discussions. Click the next video on your screen now for more fascinating insights.